I love Over the Garden Wall. Why? Because it's an amazing and criminally underrated masterpiece. I first watched this nearly a decade ago when it came out, and I loved every second of it, even though I didn't know what the hell was going on. I made it a tradition of mine to rewatch the short series every year around early to late October. Over the years, I learned that thousands of fans follow the same tradition of watching this show during the fall season as well. In a sense, it's universal, since everyone who has seen it has a unique admiration for it. It's something that can't be put into words. You just have to watch it for yourself to know what I'm talking about. I recently rewatched it for the first time in 5 years, which doesn't exactly demonstrate my loyalty to tradition. I'm not going to conduct a thorough analysis of the show or dissect every key characteristic often overlooked by viewers. Trust me, the show is a lot deeper than it seems. I'm simply going to discuss everything that makes this show the masterpiece that it is. I'll share my own take on the show, which drew inspiration from one of my all-time favorite videos, Trey the Explainer's Over the Garden Wall is Dante's Inferno. I'll provide a link in the description if you guys would like to give his video a watch. Although I'm only going to give the gist of the story, I'm still going to be covering some brief but spoiler-heavy parts of the show. So for those who haven't seen it and would like to see it first, then I suggest you click away. Alright, it's time to talk about what makes Over the Garden Wall an amazing masterpiece. So sit back and enjoy as we traverse through the unknown. The story that Patrick McHale created is one that's not only damn near perfect, but special in its own unique way. From the very start, we're just thrown into the unknown with no sense of direction. And that's okay, because we're supposed to be lost and confused, just like our two protagonists of the story, Wirt and Greg. What's fascinating about the story is that it's almost like we're traversing with the brothers, given how personal their journey is. Although the show only ran for 10 short episodes, they each felt like their own little story. It's almost like a collection of older folktales and epic fables. Each episode has its own unique themes and characters that contribute to the overall story, each expanding on the last, continuing its themes, much like the woodsman, who appears multiple times due to his role in the unknown and the brothers' journey, or Beatrice, who serves as a guide, bringing hope and purpose. I'll expand more on the characters later on in the video. It's just amazing to me how in a 12-minute time span, the creators were able to tell a story that's worth 1,000 episodes. Creating a sense of timelessness makes the story feel like it could have existed for centuries. In that timelessness alone, the show is able to capture beautiful and tragic themes like loss, resilience, and the search for one's purpose in life. The story feels so familiar, yet it's entirely original and its own masterful piece of art. The story's blend of silly fun, adventures, and darkness, combined with its pacing, draws us deeper into the unknown. For those who have seen the show, I think we can all agree that Over the Garden Wall is heavily layered with deep symbolism. Even as a 10-year-old peanut-brained kid, I was able to grasp the deeper messages that the show so masterfully conveyed. That's a lie, I didn't understand a single thing. But to be fair, even as a kid, I was able to enjoy something that was different from the standard cartoons that I grew up with. With that being said, the unknown isn't just a dark and eerie setting. Many people, along with Patrick McHale himself, interpret the unknown as a modern take on limbo, or the afterlife. Even though it's not a direct one-to-one allegory of it, the unknown is heavily implied to be a world between life and death, similar to Dante's journey through hell in the Divine Comedy. Wirt and Greg embark on a journey that's as much about confronting their inner demons as it is about navigating Wirt's own personal hell. The reason why I say Wirt's own hell is that the unknown heavily revolves around his own sins and deeds. One example of this is his perspective on himself, where he blames his brother Greg for his own mistakes. This is evident throughout the show and towards the end in episode 9, when he blames Greg for supposedly ruining his life, right before the train nearly kills them. The unknown follows the same concept as limbo, a liminal space between life and death, where I previously mentioned that unresolved emotions and unfinished business come into play. A good example of this would be Wirt's unresolved issues with himself. He is a neurotic individual who overthinks everything in his life. Gregory, on the other hand, is self-assured and serves as a charming figure that gives light to Wirt's pessimistic perspective of the world. Each of the characters in Over the Garden Wall represent a struggle with temptation, doubt, or self-discovery. They all have their own demons to overcome. Everything ties back to Wird's own reality, his inferno, or the unknown. It is the outcome of Wird's sins being made a reality, allowing him to see the wrong he has committed, or forever tormenting himself in his own personal hell. Their journey is not only an epic adventure, but also a deeply symbolic one, where the unknown reflects Wird's and even Greg's own fears and vulnerabilities. The amazing story created by Patrick McKell is mixed with symbolism that resonates with universal truths about confronting our own evils, learning to redeem ourselves, and ultimately forgiving and becoming better. Every character, and I mean every single one, shines in a way that makes them feel important in some capacity. Even if they only make a single appearance in the show, what makes the characters in Over the Garden Wall so special is that they're all masterfully developed, making their presence in Wirt and Greg's journey impossible to ignore. Like Miss Langtry, Quincy Endicott, who is voiced by John Cleese, a very famous and well-known actor, the Tavern People, Adelaide, Lorna, and Auntie Whispers, the Frogs, and even Fred the Horse. Despite only appearing once, all of these characters shined and their stories felt complete within the 12-minute time span. Let's go back to Wirt, the poet. His anxiety and hesitation contrast perfectly with Greg's innocence, creating a sibling dynamic that just feels so real. Their differences help drive the story and reflect two contrasting aspects of human life. Wirt, a cautious and self-doubting person, and then there's Greg, who always keeps his head up because he carries no burdens. These two characteristics make them even more relatable, and depending on who we are as individuals, we would react like either Greg or Wirt under the circumstances that they face. I assume that everyone would act like Wirt because it's in our nature to fear what we don't understand. Elijah Wood did an amazing job of portraying anxiety and helplessness through Wirt's character. I honestly can't imagine anyone else as Wirt besides Frodo. I mean, Elijah Wood. Carl and Dean, the voice of Greg, also did an amazing job. This brought life to such a delightful human being. Then there's the Woodsman, voiced by the legendary Christopher Lloyd, who's haunted by loss, and Beatrice, voiced by Melanie Linsky, whose journey of redemption gives her a depth we don't see right away. Even the Beast, this terrifying force of darkness, embodies something deeply symbolic. The Beast is an allegory of Lucifer, the fallen archangel who betrayed God and was condemned for all of eternity in treachery, the ninth circle of hell. Described as a place of never-ending cold, it was shown in the final episode of the show. Samuel Raimi was the voice behind the Beast, and I'm glad that they hired this guy because the way he sings in the show mirrors his talent as an operatic bass in real life.
There's an old man called the Mississippi.
If there's one thing that perfectly encapsulates the atmosphere of the unknown, it's the OST. The music of Over the Garden Wall, from the main theme to Gregory's Potatoes and Molasses song, holds a special place in my heart. Its roots come from early American folk and jazz, creating this beautifully nostalgic yet eerie harmony that feels like it belongs in another time period. Each song does an amazing job of enhancing the tones of the story, drawing the audience deeper into this world that's both horrifying yet inviting. It's honestly magical because it really sets the tone for the entire show. For example, the main theme is mysterious and almost depressing, yet cheerful at the same time. It's like a harmony that portrays your journey in life, displaying the struggles and the beauty and overcoming them through the simple strums of the violin strings. It's rare to find a show where the music doesn't just serve as background, but actually adds another layer to the world itself. It's a soundtrack that stays with you long after the episodes end, and it's a huge part of what makes the show feel timeless. In my opinion, it's not just one of the best in Cartoon Network's history. It's one of the best in animation because of how much weight it carries through its symphonies. The original score is truly a piece of art, and one that I'll forever cherish in my life. Everything from the story, symbolism, characters, and the original score makes Over the Garden Wall such a heartfelt experience. Every time I rewatch it, it brings out new layers and meanings that make it feel like I'm watching it for the first time again. This isn't just a cartoon. It's a journey that speaks to many people's struggles with growing up, facing their inner demons and unknowns. For me, it's a reminder to embrace the journey, face my own fears, and find comfort in knowing that we're all searching for hope and purpose. That's my personal take on the show. and I'll forever cherish its beautiful message to the world. If you haven't watched it, or if you plan on rewatching it, I hope this video gives you that push that you need. Over the Garden Wall is an amazing masterpiece that deserves all the love it can get. And even if this video only gets 5 views, I would be glad and thankful to have had the opportunity to share my thoughts on one of the best shows I've ever seen in my life. Thank you, everyone, for embarking on this journey through the unknown with me. I hope all of you had a wonderful Halloween and avoided climbing any garden walls. Take care, everyone.
Led through the mist by the milk light of moon, all